Now, procrastination is always an issue when it comes to productivity. I read somewhere that the thing that you're resisting doing most at the moment will be the thing that would add most value to your life if you were to do it. So the bigger it is, the more we resist it, which is pathetic, isn't it? What are we like? What are human beings like? So I think that's probably true for most of us though. We do put off the things that are big or important. That's why we put them off, because they're too big and scary, or we don't have enough time to face up to them. And I think when you're working at home, procrastination is even easier because you don't have a boss watching you. You don't have colleagues all working away, making you think, yeah, I should probably work as well. You're just on your own in a house with lots of easy distractions. So if you're going to be productive working from home, you absolutely have to overcome procrastination. But the good news is I've got 11 suggestions. I wanted it to be 10. I thought it would sound neater, but I've got 11, so that's the number. So the first one that you could use if you suffer from procrastination is to allocate time in your diary. Just think, I will do that on Thursday morning and I'll block out 3 hours and I'll do it. I'll put it in my diary as a promise to myself. Now, obviously, nobody else is going to enforce this apart from you, but you will feel like a loser if you don't do it. You'll have to face the fact you didn't keep the promise to yourself. So that may work. It works really well for me, actually. If I allocate time, I kind of feel I have to do it. Plus, I've kept the time free. I'm more likely to do it. So put a block of time in your diary. That's my first suggestion. My second suggestion is to leave the job out visible. Because if you file things away, out of sight, out of mind. But if it's there on the desk or by the front door or on the kitchen table, you have to do it. So if it's a load of invoices you have to type into your tax software, just have that box of invoices there on the kitchen table so you can see it. Firstly, it's nagging at you, but secondly, it makes it much easier to start because there they are. You don't have to go and find them. They're already there. Leaving it out visible is my second tactic. My third tactic is break it down into chunks and say to yourself, I'll just do the first bit. All I'll do is I'll put the invoices in order. All I'll do is I'll just type in 5 of them. Or if you've got to do a load of cold calling, just say all I'll do is I'll do 2 phone calls before lunch, or even 1. I'll just do 1 phone call. Or I'll just make a list of everyone I'm going to phone with their numbers written next to their name. Because subconsciously you think to yourself, well, that's easy. I could definitely do that. And then before you know it, you've started. And after the first call, you might think, actually, that wasn't too bad. I'll do another one. And then you're on a roll. So break it down into small chunks and just start on the first one. Suggestion number 4 is to just plunge in and get started. Just make that phone call. Just dial the number before you've had a chance to think about how it might go wrong. Just start typing that report before you've planned everything, before you've got every little detail. Because otherwise, if you wait for every detail, you may never start. So just plunge in and get started. Just email that person saying, shall we have a meeting? And then there's no going back. My next suggestion is to start the day with a tough one. Now, I'm not really a morning person, so I kind of don't like this one, although I do still use it sometimes. So the idea is you start your working day, let's say at 9 o'clock or something, and you think, what's the worst job I've got on my list? It's phoning up that customer to ask whether he's happy, or phoning up that really boring person, or having to make that big spreadsheet that contains lots of horrible maths. I don't know, whatever it is that's your worst job, and just do that. Because then you feel great for the rest of your day. Otherwise, that job is hanging over you for the whole day and you're thinking, oh, I'm going to have to do that at some point. So just get in, do it as the first thing. So every day you start a habit of thinking, what's my worst job? And then you do that one and you get it done. Idea number 6 is to have a fixed routine every day where you just do a little bit. So if you have got a whole pile of tax invoices to type into 0 or whatever, you could just say every day after lunch, I'll just type in 2 tax invoices. That's all I'll do. That'll be my routine. I'll have my lunch, I'll do 2 invoices, and then I'll carry on with the other things. And just have a habit which you then won't question, where you just chip away and before long it will be done. There's a friend of mine who has a list of his top 30 prospects, the people he'd like to get as customers. And he contacts one of them each day of the month. So his number 1 prospect who he really wants to get, he phones on the 1st of the month. Or he emails them. If it's a weekend, he might just send them an email. And he does number 7 on the 7th of the month, and he rotates round. And if another customer comes along who he's really interested in getting, he puts that somewhere on his list and the bottom one drops off. Maybe that's somebody who's been on his list for ages. He's not getting anywhere with that person anyway. They drop off. So he just rotates round and he just does a little bit of chasing up every day. So each day he keeps in contact with one of his customers so they get a monthly touch from him. So that's an example of how something that would be quite a hassle can be just done as a small part every day. Idea number 7 is one that I think you'll like, which is to reward yourself when you've done something that was difficult or that you've been putting off. Say to yourself, after I've typed in all the invoices, I'm going to have a great big bar of chocolate, or I'm going to order a takeaway curry or something like that. And then your subconscious, which is going, oh, I don't want to do the invoices, goes, did you say curry? Come on, let's do this. And you can even say, no curry till I've finished the invoices. If it takes me 2 weeks to do these invoices, I'm not having any curry for the next 2 weeks. So reward yourself and make sure that you don't have the reward without doing it. But also make sure you pay up. Don't do the invoices and then think, actually, I won't have the curry because it's bad for me. You must pay up because otherwise it won't work next time. Number 8 of my list of ideas to help you become better at overcoming procrastination is to think about your energy level. Make sure you get enough sleep and make sure you get some exercise. Often people have healthy eating as the third one. I personally find whatever I eat seems to make no difference at all, but sleep and exercise have a huge effect on me. So make sure you get 8 hours sleep every night, and working from home, at least you can do that because at least you don't have to get up early every morning and have that 1 hour commute. That's an extra hour you can spend in bed. So make sure you get enough sleep. But also make sure you get some exercise. And working from home, it's very easy to not get much exercise. But the good news is you can do it in small blasts. So you don't have to drive to the gym after work or whatever. You can just have some weights next to your desk and just do a little bit of pumping of iron for 5 minutes every day. Or you can quickly go for a jog around the block and then get back to your work still wearing your training shoes. So I think it's really possible to do exercise from home, and that should be part of your regime, because if you feel fit, then your brain works better as well. You'll be more dynamic and you'll be in the mood to tackle those jobs that you're putting off rather than thinking, oh, I just can't face it. I don't have the energy. Idea number 9 out of 11 is to have a taskmaster, to have an official nagger. Now, if you're working from home, there's probably only one person this is going to be. If you're at home living with a partner, and that's going to be your other half. So you could get them to nag you. Now, obviously, if you're living alone, you won't be able to do this. Or will you? Because you could have a virtual nagger. You could have a friend who you talk to every morning or once a week, and you could promise that friend that you will have done that job by Friday. But if you've got somebody in the house, it's even better, because you can get them to say, have you done that yet? And you can tell them when you want them to chase you. You could tell them what the punishment is going to be if you haven't done it. And it could be perhaps financial. You know, if I haven't done it by Friday, I'm paying for the Chinese takeaway or whatever it might be. So you can incentivize the nagger as well. And of course, in your mind, you're thinking, well, I definitely don't want to have to pay that punishment. I must do this job. So who are you going to allocate as your official nagger? Do you think that would work for you? I've just got 2 ideas left. Idea number 10 is to have a clear desk. Because if you've got fun things on your desk, maybe puzzles that you like doing, or the paper that you like reading, car magazines or whatever, then it's very easy to get sidetracked onto those and then put off the work that you should be doing. But if you've got a clear desk, you've got nowhere to escape to, you're much more likely to do the work. So keep a tidy desk, or have a second desk that's completely clear that you can go to where you can do big chunks of work, the kind of work that you might put off. And then your first desk is just for dealing with all the sort of daily hassle of emails and things. So think about your working environment, because that can affect your tendency to put things off. My final suggestion, number 11, is to find a way to enjoy it. Is there a way that you can make it a game or find it satisfying? I remember when I was little, I used to try to tidy my room as quickly as possible. I used to zoom around, see if I could tidy the whole room in 1 minute. And the fact that it became a game, I don't know whether I invented that or whether my parents put it into my mind, but either way, it became a little game to see how quickly I could do it. And then I didn't mind doing it at all. I actually used to almost look forward to it. So can you make it a game in some way? For example, if you have to do cold calling, can you make it a game to get the other person to laugh or to find out as much as you can about the other person? Because that's a game, but it will also make it more likely for you to have a successful phone call. So that's my 11th idea. Can you make whatever you're putting off into a game? So your homework now is to have a look at my list of 11 ideas and to try to pick maybe 2 or 3 that you really like that you're going to use from now on. Which of my suggestions are the ones that will help you to stop putting jobs off?